Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. You know the drill. We're back at it again with the r/entitledpeople Reddit stories. So let's just jump into it, shall we? Entitled woman gets child support from someone that is not the father. I made a reply to another post about a guy being shamed by his family for not paying child support on a child that was proven not to be his. I have been messaged by many people to post about it and give an update. Court was several days ago. My husband has a friend that has been court ordered to pay child support for a child that is not his and has a father that is involved and pays child support. Mother has been double dipping because a judge decided to ignore laws and deem that friend should be paying child support because the child was accustomed to a higher standard of living due to friend's financial contribution to the household prior to the mother deciding to break things off and move out. He had continued to help her financially because he still had feelings and she was leading him on that they could maybe work things out. When he realized she was leading him on, he started dating his current girlfriend and stopped his financial aid. She lost her mind, filed for child support, and the judge agreed it was in the best interest of the child to grant her petition. The judge has since been removed from her post as a judge and is working as an advising lawyer in her family firm, which also now has a bad reputation due to her. He won. Technically, the mother is ordered to repay him for 3 years of child support. He paid $150 a week for just a little over 3 years. She is to repay him at the whopping amount of $25 per week because she made it abundantly clear in court that she will not willingly pay him back. She will be paying this back for years due to interest and the yearly court fees. His attorney has advised him to wait 1 year and then they can file for an amendment to put liens on any property she owns and possibly against any tax refunds she might get. He does not really feel like he's won, considering how long it'll take her to pay him back and the fact that he will probably be chasing her for years to get his money. As I was reading this, my very first thought was, I bet this judge is a woman that hates men. Then I got to the part where it revealed that the judge was indeed a woman, and I was like, yep. Ugh. I hate when people of power are biased. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There needs to be some strict testing to see if someone who's going into a position of power is biased in any way, whether that be in regards to gender, race, age, etc. It's just not right. I wish she were fired, but at least the greedy mom got her just desserts though, and had to pay back OP's friend. What is it that you guys always say? Don't stick your dick in crazy? I think that applies here. Entitled mother and entitled grandmother tried to kill residents of a group home. Many years ago, I worked in a group home. For the privacy of all residents, we had a set visitation room, with visitation hours by appointment only. Appointment only, so that 2 families weren't trying to visit at the same time. It had a separate entrance, and a door that shut it off from the rest of the house. It had a half bath, a TV, cable hookup, game console, DVD player, board and card games, along with nice comfy seating and a small 4-person table. Visitors were not allowed anywhere but that room if any of the other residents were home. It didn't matter if Bill wanted to show off his new bedding set or if Jack's mom wanted to see if he needed new clothes. If the other residents were home, no. The families of 5 of the residents were fine with it. Kyle's mother and grandmother were not. They firmly believed that they were within their rights to enter the rest of the house and inspect it and his housemates. He was their baby, and they had rights by God. Actually, no. The residents of this home were 30 to 40-year-old men with developmental and physical disabilities. They were all actually wards of the state. The fact they were even allowed to know where he was, let alone visit, was a huge privilege. Our agency had many other homes where the families of the residents had no idea where they were and weren't allowed to see them. The families were only allowed to contact the case manager and inquire about them. But back to Kyle's mom and grandma. It was a constant battle to keep them out of the rest of the house. It got to the point that we had to have an extra staff member during their visits. They had to sit outside the connection door while the visits were going on and physically stand blocking their way when they would attempt to enter. I lost track of how many times we ended up calling the police to have them removed from the main part of the house before that happened. That's when they started calling the police on us. After the 3rd time of them calling the police to demand entrance to the rest of the house, they lost their privilege of visiting. Kyle was moved to another home where they weren't allowed to know the address. This didn't go over well, to put it nicely. They were adamant that Kyle was still in our home, and they threatened us several times that we would pay for keeping their baby from them. A restraining order was granted against them, keeping them 800 feet from the house, staff, residents, and no calls to the house. It all came to a head one night when at dark 30, I was locking up the house for the night. All doors and windows had to be checked and the alarm set. Another staff was doing bedtime medicine. The other two were helping out with bedtime routines and getting laundry going. I kept telling the other staff that I smelled smoke, like a campfire, just faint whiffs of it. They said I was crazy. I had just walked the entire house and nothing was burning. It must be a neighbor having a small backyard fire or something, and I got a whiff while closing the windows, and it was stuck in my nose. It finally was strong enough for the others to smell. In pairs, we checked the house again. Nothing, but the smell was getting stronger. We met back in the living room and decided to go ahead and call the fire department when we realized we could see wisps of smoke in the living room. We woke the residents and had them put on shoes and jackets. The smoke in the living room was now clearly visible and starting to make its way towards the bedrooms, and it triggered the alarms. Finally, protocol was to evacuate and get the residents to the van. The living room was the exact center of the house, with an open floor plan, with the kitchen on one side and a laundry room on the other. The bedrooms were through the living room and to the left and right, along with the two bathrooms, the visitor's room, and our office being at opposite ends of each other. Down the hall, we shuffled to our office because the van was parked to that side and the keys were in the office. As we came around the corner of the house, we see the source of the smoke. Our front porch was on fire. The house was brick, which is what was preventing it from spreading outward, but it was spreading upward towards the roof. The police and fire departments arrived just as we reached the van. Fire department went to work on the house. Police head towards us. We're all fine, except 4 people came running up to us. Kyle's mother and grandmother, along with 2 unknown men. The 2 women started screaming for Kyle and that they were here to rescue him because we had endangered him by allowing him to live in a fire trap. They suddenly realized there was no Kyle in the group and were now screaming that we had left him to burn in that house. They were suing us and they would shut us down and have us in prison for murder. The police quickly asked if we had left someone behind, to which we answered, no, we have all 6 men, but for their safety, we had to get them in the van, and then we would sort this out. The police held mother and grandmother back from us, while they continued to shriek about Kyle and how we had left him to die. 2 of the staff loaded them, while me and my coworker talked to the police, starting with the fact that those 2 women had a restraining order, and for his safety and ours, Kyle had been moved to a location unknown to them. They were cuffed immediately and told to pipe down. We proceeded to explain what had transpired that evening. The fire was doused quickly while we did this. One of the firemen came over to talk to the officers, and we heard him say there was preliminary evidence that this fire was set deliberately. There would be a formal investigation. Long story short, Kyle's mother and grandmother were arrested for violating the restraining order and suspicion of arson. The 2 men were arrested on suspicion of arson also. Results of the investigation determined clear case of arson. There was also a deliberate rigging of a device to the door leading out of the visitation room that would have been fatal to the person opening the door, and if anyone was close by, debilitating, if not fatal. The 4 were indicted on vandalism, arson, 8 counts of attempted homicide, and 2 counts of attempted murder. It came out that they were unaware of the other side door, which saved lives. They got a plea deal and got 7 to 10 years each. This was back in the early 2000s, so I don't remember what exactly the sentence was. So, as if that all wasn't bad enough, OP reveals in the comments that the reason that Kyle was in the group home in the first place is because these 2 weren't properly taking care of him and were abusing him. Like, how terrifying and traumatic for poor Kyle that these awful people kept coming around demanding his time like he's some sort of possession. Then to go through such lengths to burn a literal house down, putting innocent lives in danger, and not even even just that, to try and literally murder a house full of people just because these abusers no longer have their outlet. It's disgusting and psychopathic. I wish it were more, but I'm so glad that they got some jail time, and I really hope that Kyle is doing okay. But anyway, that is all from me today. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!